Hi everybody, Sean Colgan here with OCFA Training and Safety. Today I'm out here in Fullerton, California at our Air Operations Station 41. With me I have Captain Crew Chief Robert Buccio. I'm hoping today you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about your safety concerns of us working around the helicopter and just a little bit about the Air Ops program.
Sure, Sean. So currently we have 4 aircraft in our fleet. We have 2 of the Bell 412 EPs and 2 of our Super Hueys. We currently run a staffing of a pilot, a crew chief, and a rescue medic. During the need for a upstaffing of helicopters, we have the ability to do so as well.
Okay.
Why don't we take a 360 around the aircraft and take a look at some of the safety concerns and hazards.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we are in front of our Bell 412 EP aircraft. Currently, orientation on our aircrafts are the nose of the aircraft is located at the 12 o'clock position on a clock. As you work your way around from right to left, your 3 o'clock position would basically be in line with the door. Some of the concerns we have for safety-wise on our aircraft are our rotor blade systems. We have the main rotors that are located here, as well as your tail rotor located in the back. When we talk about the orientation of the aircraft and folks loading in and out of our aircraft, we're looking for you to load outside of the rotor diameters on a flat terrain surface. The reason we don't want you to load on an upside terrain because now you're in line with that rotor blade system. So before you make any access to the aircraft, you're always waiting for any type of air crew member to give you the come or the stop position wherever you're at while boarding and offloading the aircraft. As we get towards the aircraft, our doors will open, we'll slide the door open. We don't want you to come past this area of the aircraft. Anything past this is the no-go because of the tail rotor. So a flight crew member will be here to help direct you in and off the aircraft. We do have a fixed tank on our aircraft, 360 gallons. You would pump it for an open butt that would be pumped into this location here. We also have a snorkel system that we can use while we are drafting out of any type of static water supply. With that, let's go ahead and work our way around the other side of the aircraft. Some of the hazards in the front are what we have, the 2 pitot tubes that are located on the 412. Typically it's at ground level. We're sitting on top of a cart today, but when we're out in the field, they're at ground level so they can catch you in the eye. So you always want to make sure you walk clear of the pitot tubes as you're crossing across the front of the aircraft. Once again, no movement in front of the aircraft without the direction from the pilot or any type of air crew member. Some of the concerns of coming in and out is we always want to have a foot up on the skid. The aircraft has the ability to settle, and if your foot's caught underneath the skid with the rotors turning, nobody's going to hear you screaming for help. So it's one of the biggest safety concerns when approaching the aircraft is to always have your foot up and on the skid and your other foot positioned back behind. When you grab the door handle to come in, you're going to open the door handle and you're going to make your way into the seat of the aircraft. We do not want you to hold onto this door. There's small pins that lock this door and it will break if you try holding and pulling yourself in. Use the stokes, use the straps on the ground, but please do not use our door. Once you're inside the aircraft, we ask that you get to your seat, you put your seatbelt on, and you put your headset on, and listen for any flight instructions from your flight crew. This left gun well is where we load all of our equipment, whether it be wildland packs, tools, equipment, saws, etc. Please hand your equipment to the flight crew member. He'll load it and stay outside the rotor diameters until we call you back in to load the aircraft. Once again, on this side of the aircraft, just as the other, this is the no-go portion of the aircraft. We want you to stay in front of this location when loading and unloading equipment. Please do not come to the rear of the aircraft. Now let's go meet up with Sean again and we'll talk about some other helicopter operations we can help you perform.
Thanks, Captain Buccio, for taking us around the helicopter. So I have a couple other questions, and one of my first main question is, when I'm going to be working around the helicopter and you guys, what is the PPEs I need to have on or we should have on?
Okay, so let's start off with a helmet. You're going to need a helmet on with the chin strap securely fastened, some type of eye protection, and preferably some type of ear protection. With that, Nomex shirt, leather gloves, Nomex trousers, and some type of leather boot. The typical slipper boot that we find around in the fire stations is not something that we will allow to fly on our aircraft. It needs to be something that's going to cover your ankle.
Okay, great. The next operation I want to talk about would be water point. And what I mean by that is, what tools do I need, equipment, off of my rig, and what equipment do you guys already have on the helicopter for that procedure?
So once we have communication with you, we will land. The crew chief will come off the aircraft, come to the back of this compartment here, and we'll grab a 2.5-inch chem lock fitting with a double female attached. We will attach this to your hose line that you've laid out for us with the 2.5 bail shutoff. We'll attach it to the cam lock fitting itself, close the one dog ear. We only require the one, so it's easier to get on and off the aircraft.
Okay, just so I know, just one is all we have to have for
Correct.
the
You
cam
can do two, that's fine. It's just a little bit stronger and takes a little bit more time, so when the pilot's trying to judge that water flow, extra seconds count as extra pounds, so we can't have that happen. So we want a quick disconnect, come away, tuck it underneath your hose line, and clear back out past the safety circle. So once you make your connection with the cam lock fitting, the pilot's going to point at these different numbers. These numbers represent time on a clock. So he'll point at 60, meaning he wants you to open the bail for 60 seconds.
Okay.
They can point at 45 or 30. Depending on the amount of fuel burn that we use will depend upon how much water we will take on during that one water fill operation.
Okay, and just so I know, at 60, we're at full capacity, 360 gallons.
Correct.
And then 45 would represent?
And that's going to take a little bit of judgment of the engineer that's pumping the hose line to be pumping to the correct pressure that we're looking for and being on that smooth working rhythm. Typically it takes 2 to 3 water fill landings to where all of us are on the same page. One is that you'll stop. You'll hear the siren.
My next concern for me would be if we did have a firefighter go down on one of our divisions, what would be the proper procedure in having you do that extrication or actually help out with the rescue?
Okay, so we take every approach from the safest type of approach to the more high risk. So preferably we'd like to flat pitch land like how we are now and unload the patient that way. If there's no area and they're in a remote location that we can't flat pitch, then we can either do a hover step on and off the aircraft, and in last resort we'd probably refer to the hoist if that's an option for us.
So another question for me is if we do find an LZ that we think suitable for you, what are the things that you're looking at that we might not be looking at? And how would you gauge if you liked our LZ or you wouldn't be using it at all?
Okay, so ultimately it comes up to the pilot in command. He's in control of the aircraft. But some of the things that we look for as a crew resource management inside the cockpit is we're dealing with any type of aerial hazards. That could be wires, telephone poles, trees, or other aircraft in the air. First thing we'll do is we'll do a high recon of that LZ location. We'll circle around, look and identify any of those hazards. Second, what we do is a lower recon to try to get a better look and see exactly what we're looking at. For you being on the ground, we are asking for any type of weather, the weather direction, the wind that it might be coming from, any type of aerial hazards, the takeoff and landing, approach and departure. What we require for a Type 2 aircraft through the IHOG is a minimum of a 90 by 90. When we're doing a water point, we like to stretch that out to about a 100-foot diameter circle with a 20-foot flat square pad in the middle for us to do our water point operation from. Once you've identified that as a ground resource, then you can tell us the LZ is open and clear for us to land, and you can land us utilizing the pocket response guidebook with the proper hand signals to have us land at that LZ with proper radio communication between us.
Okay, great. And then one of my last things and concerns would be we're out there on the fire line and you're coming in to do a water drop. How do we know if for some reason our radios aren't on the right frequency? What would be another telltale other than getting hit by 360 gallons of water, which wouldn't be a good day? How would we know? What other ways do you let us know on the ground that you're going to be dropping some water?
So as firefighters, we know that we should be programming a air-to-ground, typically. So we'd have an air-to-ground channel communicated through that IAP or through the initial actions of the incident. Then secondly is typically the pilot's going to hit a siren as we're coming to drop water. So as we drop water, we know the basic fundamentals of a fireman, leaning your head towards the dropping of the water, holding your helmet, chin strap down, all the necessities that take place. Ultimately, the guide is that we don't want to drop water unless the folks on the ground know we're coming. With the drought-stricken trees, the last thing we want to do is drop trees on top of people as well as dropping water at the same time.
Okay, great, great. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of curriculum today. I appreciate your time coming out here and talking with us. I think we got a heck of a lot of great information that we're going to be able to carry on into the wildland season and throughout the year. So thanks for your time, Captain Buccio.